In deze aflevering van de sofa van Bolero zoomen we in op Titan Cement International. Een Grieks bedrijf dat je als belegger ook op onze Brusselse beurs zal terugvinden. Wat het bedrijf doet en waarom het binnenkort mogelijk ook op Amerika zal noteren, legt Sharad Kumar ons uit. Sharad is financieel analist binnen het researchteam van KBC Securities en focust vooral op holdingbedrijven. Hi Sharad and welcome to our Bolero sofa. Thanks for making the time for being here and to explain a little bit about Titan Cement International.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I understand a lot of Bolero investors won't know about the company, about Titan Cement International. So my first question would be, can you explain the business model of the company? Where are they from?
Yeah, sure. So Titan Cements is a Greek company that's both listed in the Athens Stock Exchange and on the Euronext Brussels. The company's operations are predominantly the manufacturing, distribution, and sale of cement. And they do this across Europe, the US, Southeast Europe in specific, and the Mediterranean as well. In terms of revenues, more than 60% of the company's revenues come from the US. More than 30% come from Europe, and less than 10% come from Mediterranean, and by Mediterranean I mean Turkey and Egypt in specific. Maybe one thing that should be kept in mind is that the company has been on this growth path, and sales of this company have meteorically grown since FY21.
Oh, okay, very interesting. So, big international company, if I understand correctly. Can you explain what are the specific growth factors that investors should consider if they are looking at the stock or are questioning more information about those growth numbers?
Sure. Yeah, so as I said, the company operates in the US, Europe, and also Southeast Europe by that, and in the Mediterranean. And the US in specific is, well, the company has grown across the board, but US in specific will be the growth engine. The company in specific in the US operates in the Mid-Atlantic and the Florida economic zone. Both these two regions are highly underbuilt. To give you a statistic, there are approximately 3.5 million homes that need to be built in the US, of which 30% will be in the regions that the company operates in. So this will be a growth driver. But in terms of Europe and let's say even across Southeast Europe, there will of course be this ongoing demand for infrastructure to be either renewed or built again. And in terms of the Mediterranean, in Turkey especially, there's going to be demand, especially after the war. There are rebuilding efforts now for which the company's cement of course will be used. Okay,
so for what I hear, a bright future. It's looking ahead, if I understand correctly.
It seems so.
Yeah, okay. Something I also mentioned in the intro to our investors is that maybe we can expect Titan Cement to be on an American stock exchange in the near future. They also announced that probably an IPO will be part of its American business. Can you explain something more about that to her?
Of course, yeah. So Titan announced not too long ago that they will list between 15 to 25% of their American business on either the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. It's not known which exchange it will be. This will depend on various factors. But what this does, and what's interesting for investors rather, is I would categorize it as two components. One is value creation, so or rather we can say value discovery. The company has again stated that 15 to 25% will be listed in the US, and this of course will bring proceeds in, and it's important to understand what the company does with this proceeds. The company has stated as of now, it cannot state anything as per the proceeds, but what I suspect they will do is they will put this to capital expenditure purposes for growth. This can be done in several ways. Either they can have, expansion of their fleet in terms of the trucks they use to deliver cement, or they can achieve production efficiencies with it. An inorganic way of putting this money to use would be to buy another mid-sized player, but the probability of this happening is rather low. Another aspect maybe that we should look at, which I just spoke about, which is value discovery, is that in the US, the peers of Titan, as in cement companies listed in the US, trade for an EV/EBITDA close to 10. Titan today trades, the group trades at an EV/EBITDA of 5.5. So you can see why listing the US business has potential to also discover this hidden value in the group.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's something interesting that you say, compared to its peers that this has a lower price earnings. Something that a lot of new generation of investors is keeping in mind is ESG ambitions for a more traditional materials industry like Titan Cement. How are these ESG ambitions for a company like Titan?
Yeah, so Titan is involved in cement manufacturing, which is not a very environmentally friendly business, let's say. But the company has, I would categorize it as in 3 buckets: short-term goals, medium to long-term, and I would say really long-term. And talking about short-term goals, the company has been trying to reduce its overall emissions, and I think they're going to concentrate on keeping themselves on that path. In terms of medium to long term, the company has very concrete 2026 and 2030 goals, which they will try to achieve. And over the long term, they really want to be, by 2050, they want to be net zero. Okay. So, and they've been doing really well on this ESG side, despite being a cement company. And this is evidenced by the very nice ratings that they have from many of these ESG rating companies. One project that I want to talk about in specific is called iFestos. It's the biggest carbon capture project in Europe by a cement company, in the cement sector. This is in Titan's Kamari plant, which is right outside Athens. And they got a 234 million euro grant from the EU Innovation Fund. So, this is how, all this is evidence of how good or how committed the company is towards ESG.
Okay, that's nice to hear that they are also focusing on that part next to the growth numbers that are looking positive in the future. Another thing that investors and of course Bolero investors need to consider is the risks involved by investing in a certain firm. Are there any risks that investors need to be aware of when they are looking or make their analysis on Titan Cement Group?
Of course, yeah. Any investment comes with its own set of risks. In terms of Titan specifically, the risks would be, and I would categorize them as, like, let's say, energy costs. That's, majority of Titan's operational costs are related to energy, and a sudden spike in energy costs can impact profitability of this business. Another risk would be the costs of distribution and shipping. Again, a spike in this would see the profitability of Titan being impacted. I would say another risk would be that of, the demand for these, or rather, by saying demand, the US federal spending has been really high, the US federal debt, to be specific, at 34 trillion at the moment. And I'm not sure how much longer will the US government keep subsidizing infrastructure projects across the US. So that is also a place where Titan's cement products are used extensively, and a pullback in terms of spending and subsidization of these projects could also have an impact for the demand of Titan's cement.
Yeah, okay, so certainly something to keep in mind also in the future. Okay, Sharad, that was already my last question. I think a lot of investors who didn't know about the company learned it right now. And then I would like to thank you for being here on our sofa. And maybe we will see you again in the future here in the Bolero studio.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Zo, en dat brengt ons alweer bij het einde van deze sofa-video. Wil je in de toekomst op de hoogte blijven van al onze nieuwste video's, dan raad ik je het zeker aan om je te abonneren op ons Bolero YouTube-kanaal. En zo krijg je al meteen alle gerichte analyses over deze bedrijven van de analisten te zien en te horen. Tot ziens!